the Holy Bible concerning the Old and New Testament out of the ancient, what you would call Quaker English. In this original translation, what do we have here? Oh, you would never guess, pastors and preachers. The King James Apocrypha. See that word there? Apocrypha. See that? Look on your screen. You see that word Apocrypha there? To show you that the King James Apocrypha, the 14 books were a part of the original translation. But they'll never tell the black churches. They'll never tell the churches this, because why? In the Apocrypha, it mentions the Europeans putting up a false image of Christ and using pagan rites to destroy God's people and teach a new religion on earth. It also teaches about the 10 tribes that left Israel, the northern kingdom, in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, of how the North American Indians, all the tribes that were over there in the New World where the Europeans got there, they were from the lost tribes of Israel. So they took the book out and they lied to the ministers and made them believe that the Apocrypha was not spiritually inspired, so they had to take it out. No, it had nothing to do with that. It's very spiritually inspired and prophetic in content. They lied to you to keep you from the book so that you would not identify the true people of God and uphold the impostors over there in Palestine as the children of Israel. See, we got the proof. King James was a black Jew. Now that I have this book in front of me to show you we have proof, and if you don't believe it, research it yourself. What are you going to do now that you know the truth? Are you going to take this information and proclaim truth throughout the earth, or will you continue in the lie that has been perpetrated amongst our people? And I'm saying black, white people, no matter what color you are, alike, spread the truth. It's in front of you. Now, speaking to pastors and preachers and teachers who are not of our color, who are of different persuasion, if you deny this information because you claim color don't matter, you are part of the conspiracy. Because color does matter. Why? Because they lied to our people and claimed that King James was a white homosexual. And that had a lasting impression on how a lot of our people viewed the Bible.
And so in 1603, when Elizabeth the Virgin Queen eventually died, the oldest monarch England had ever had, he came from Edinburgh to London for his coronation. He was openly bisexual. The word in London was that Elizabeth had been a king, and now they had James the Queen. In Latin, of course. By the accident of heredity, England and Scotland were now united in a single kingdom, Britain. Everyone had high hopes of James, especially the Roman Catholics, who thought that his distaste for bossy Scottish Presbyterians would encourage him to lift Elizabeth's restraints on their worship. They were wrong about that. So, a group of well-connected Roman Catholic terrorists planned to blow up the entire political structure at the opening of Parliament in 1605. They brought over an explosives expert from the Low Countries. He organised placing 2.5 tons of gunpowder in a cellar under the Palace of Westminster. It's a sign of how secure England became that for the last 200 years, November the 5th, the anniversary of Guy Fawkes' capture, has been simply an excuse for a fun night of pretty explosions. Today, of course, in the shadow of 9/11, 5/11 has a more chilling resonance.
So it did matter. If you have people who have done things to you at this time when the information was coming out, you had people water hosing our people, Jim Crow laws, racial tension. So you had a demographic of people.
Francis Barber lived the life of an English gentleman. Yet by the time Dennis was born, his own family was trying to paint their black ancestor out of the picture.
My mother didn't like to hear anybody talk about Francis Barber. My father always raised it and called him, always said Mr. Barber. And my mother always used to turn around and say, look, don't talk about that black man in front of the children.
His master's dictionary defined him as a Negro, but Barber probably never faced overt racial prejudice. Yet only a few decades after his death, black people had become objects of derision, contempt, and fear.
Thank God it's graven out. Because when you went in dances, when you were at the Skillenard, I mean, you weren't made an example of, but you were always, there didn't seem to be that difference.